It has a nasty habit of spitting gas out. But this
and
is
I have to be near.
but this is how cars were in 1971. Oh fuck!
I didn't know if you wanted it from the outside.
Holy fuck, it worked. Dude, I'm shocked. It worked! We've been having to put starter fluid in the Nova. It cranked.
It sure did. There's a car cleaning place up there on your left. Do you have any interest in cleaning it, or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could just walk.
You're gonna have to make a left with fairly
Do you want to do it or not? You're like trying to sell it to me, but also trying to scare me about it.
That's how he goes through life.
Just make sure there's plenty of room between you and whatever's coming.
So do you want to do it?
It's too risky, right?
It's not that risky.
Dad, don't talk us out of it.
Okay,
Be
wait
a
a minute.
team
What
player.
if we did this? What if we went down to the freeway, hung a right? At the
I can
freeway,
make a
went all the
fucking
way
left.
But this fucking thing.
You don't think I can make a fucking
In
left?
this thing? I know
It's
you
a
can make
car.
It's
I
not
drove
really
this as a
car.
daily driver for like 2 years.
Made before 1999. I mean, it doesn't have a brain. So if you don't have a brain, it's a bad mix. And I don't have a brain. I mean, new cars, they have a brain of their own. You know, they tell you all kinds of things. They tell you when your tires are low. They tell you when your gas is low. They tell you everything. This thing doesn't tell you anything.
I was just gonna say you should get this on camera.
Also, new cars, like, you can't run into anything because they tell you when you're going to hit something and they put the brakes on automatically. This thing will let you run over 15 kindergartners on their way to school. It scares the shit out of me.
It's analog.
It is analog.
It's literally like simple
And
mechanics.
unfortunately, I need all the help I can get. All right.
You don't think it's possible to make a left?
All right, what do you want? Do you have any last words for your mother anyway?
It's been real. He's really stressed about the left turn,
He's really stressed in general.
which is making me stressed about it. Turn that my dad was afraid of us taking. I mean, to be fair, these seat belts are like, they're not going to offer a whole lot of protection.
No.
So I understand why he's nervous, but I mean, it's just a left turn. I mean, as long as the car is running and it doesn't cut out or anything, we're fine.
It smells like you're in a museum when you get in this car.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
I mean, you basically are in a museum.
I mean, yeah, but it's exactly like, it's the exact smell of a museum.
It's 50 years old this year,
Yeah. It's crazy.
which is 20 years older than I am. It's crazy. The dude just, he was in like a classic Miata or something, and he just raised his
Aww.
eyebrows at me. The eyebrow like headlights.
That's
That was
cool.
really funny.
I might have gotten it. I don't know.
Yeah, see all this gasket work is just
it's
shit.
leaking.
It's just like
Oh, wait.
jerry rigged. It's not even
Something's-
leaking. This
Well,
is like,
there's water down here.
yeah, there's water, but this isn't even water.
No, that's
this is
glue.
gummy glue. That's one of the things I want to get done too, is get these gaskets replaced, clean off the windshield. I did this myself in high school. I put in these were all falling apart basically. When we got it from my grandpa, all of these things were deteriorating.
Yeah.
And I asked Mom to help me like try and match the outside color blue, and so she helped me find this, and we sewed this up back together. When I was a kid too, this is sketchy.
What?
Being in the middle of this.
Oh
fucking
yeah, that sounds
alley.
great.
When we
Let's not do
were
that again.
probably in the 80s or 90s, my grandpa actually put his foot through the floorboards, and so all through my childhood, there was just this big steel plate at the floor pan right here. He said that he went to get in the car one day and his foot just went through the car. That's how much rust was on it.
Jeez.
But one of the things I did in high school was actually replace the floor pan on this side. That one's still in decent shape. But one thing that I would like to eventually do is replace some of the quarter panels, which have a lot of rust, and probably get a new paint job. This paint's all scratched up from being in the garage and people nicking it and stuff, so it definitely needs a new coat of paint. Now for something completely different. Usually we bring you camping and off-road adventures, but this is gonna be a slight change from our normal programming. This is a 1971 Chevy Nova. Bought original by my great-grandfather in 1971. The color is Ascot Blue. It was bought at the Ernest Allen Fort Worth Chevrolet, which is actually no longer in existence. I like the badges here. It's like 1971 kind of smooth style. Really dig it. It's got a single side rear view mirror. There's not one on the other side. Don't bother looking because it's not there. I actually lost one of these hubcaps. If you notice in the back, it's missing. And I actually have nightmares about the day that I saw it fly off my Nova on South Padre Island Drive. I have nightmares about it. It makes me sad.
Don't talk about it anymore.
Yeah, but this is it. It's a 307 cubic inch. It's got like real OG glass bolts.
She's a beaut.
She's a beaut. She hasn't ran right in the last couple years, but we recently took it to Roy's Performance Auto, I think in Corpus Christi, and they bled all the liquids, all the fluids. They changed the brake rotor because it was completely rusted through apparently, so it was always turning left or right whenever we brake, I think because that rotor was just jacked.
Where the fluid goes to the brakes, one of them was completely rusted.
Yeah.
I mean, just completely rusted. So that's why there was no braking on one.
It would all, yeah, it was full
two
right,
of the, yeah, that's why it was pulling right all those years. Yeah.
I remember it always doing that.
He asked me if I wanted it. I said, "What am I going to do with it?" He said, "I mean, literally, he had it in a box. He was so proud of it."
Aww.
Yeah, I should have.
Broke that man's heart.
He just never saw anything like it before.
It's running really well since then though, so. The stuff that I would like to do on it is there's some rust in the rear quarter panels on both sides. You notice right here, there's a little bit of rust bubbling. Probably would do a new paint job. Even though we just washed it, it looks really nice right now, but there's a lot of little scratches and imperfections.
Yeah.
I'd like to replace the gaskets and the window seals too because they leak. They're old. I mean, a lot of them are 50 years old as the car is, so they need to be replaced. This was like a jerry-rig job.
Yeah.
I don't really love it, but I'll replace it at some point. It's basically all original interior. These are basically the bench seats that this color would have come in. Back seat as well. This is not original, however, and I think was replaced in the 80s or 90s because the Texas heat just completely warped the original. But I have seen these online, these dashboard replacements, so I would like to order one of those as well. We have these vent windows too. The AC and the heating doesn't work, but it's not a huge deal. This is basically just a joyride car. I drove it as a daily driver for probably a year and a half in high school, but I couldn't bear the thought of throwing a surfboard in here or just trashing it. It was I love the car too much to do that. Look at the interior. I believe this is the original dash. You can see the Nova. I think that was like an early clock option. As long as I've known this car though, that never worked. It says it's got 370,000 miles. The fuel gauge is kind of off, but we actually just put fuel in it. The lights, windshield wiper still actually works. I'm kind of amazed that they still work, but there you go, they work. And then you have the e-brake, and then you have this handy high beams foot pedal, which I think is really sick. Like just being able to click that on with your foot while you're driving. I always thought that was a really cool feature of this car. I want to say that our Uncle Matt replaced this radio.
Looks like it.
Because I believe this is an 8-track. Throwing it back.
80s.
Oh, look at that. Coming in hot.
How'd it go?
You want to race?
Yeah.
No! The answer is no!
Okay, there's a little knock, but
Yeah.
it's 50 years old.
Yeah. No, I'm just glad that we got it washed.
Okay. It looks really good.
It's shiny.
Yeah, it looks good in the sun.
It looks really good. It smells like Teen Spirit. I was driving it.
It smells like Teen Spirit. My mom drove this in high school. My Uncle Matt drove this in high school. And he said that he was late for class one day and he hit a bump and got this thing airborne. Do I believe that he did that?
What did you say to me? What did you say about my daughter? Bring it. You got something to say to my daughter?
Yes, I believe that he did that.
It's a heavy ass car. How much do you think it weighs?
It's very heavy. I don't know. My dad and I looked it up once in the owner's manual, I think, and it was like it's tons. I mean, this thing weighs tons. It's really, really heavy. I mean, it's steel, you know, like
Yeah.
there's a dent in the hood. If you pan the camera to the hood, there's a dent in the hood at the crest of this center line on the car. And there's some hail damage on the roof, but that must have been a hell of a hailstone.
Yeah, I see.
Grandpa said that was a hailstone that did that. That thing must have been softball sized. But other than that, there's not too much body damage other than the rust that I want to clean up a little bit. But right now I'm just happy that it's running and we're able to get it started and it's braking correctly. So I'm happy with it for now. It's cool though, 50 years this year. Our great grandfather bought this thing. It's pretty sick.
Very.